My first Disney cruise was the Wish 2 years ago, and I thought that ship was incredible. Looking at this ship, I guess I just noticed a lot more in the details. You could just see a little bit more, like I said, in the details, that this ship felt a little more polished. Welcome to this episode of the Maz's Musings podcast. Well, you heard from Meghan last week, and now you're going to hear from the adults all about the Disney Destiny. Yeah, we enjoyed an incredible cruise on the Destiny, going on the Western Caribbean itinerary, which included port stops in Cozumel and at Disney's Castaway Cay. And we had a lot of great experiences both on the ship and in the ports. So we'll definitely be touching on all this kind of stuff over the next 2 episodes. Yeah, we had enough to talk about that we decided that we're going to break this one up into 2 episodes. So Eileen and I are going to start out, and we're going to basically go day by day. And we do jump around a little bit, but we felt that the best way to kind of articulate how this trip went was to start at the beginning, which, as Julie Andrews would note, is the very best place to start, and work our way through to the end. So we are going to get started with everything from going through a new port in Fort Lauderdale to returning to that port and everything in between. So much fun. And what else is fun? Of course, is Meghan's Cuckoo Bananas Joke of the Week.
And now it's time for Meghan's
Cuckoo Bananas Joke.
Hi, Meghan.
Hi.
Do you have a joke for us today?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, let's hear it.
What did the pin say when it met the balloon?
I don't know. What did the pin say when it met the balloon?
Call me Buster.
That's a good one.
Sticks, kitty, do the flippies.
Yes.
Do a little dance to the dead nest flippies.
Meghan's cat has a headband on, so apparently it's a gymnastics kitty now. And it's lots of fun for all of us.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Good night. All right. So, of course, because this is a Disney-focused episode, we have no need for a Mazza's Mickey Minute. So let's get right on to our main topic, setting sail on the Disney Destiny.
Donald, wake up! It's showtime! Don't forget the orchestra!
Ah, there you are. And just in time.
Mom says there's even more magical stuff now.
For those of you standing, please hold on to the handrails throughout our journey and stay clear of the doors.
Hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
And here we go!
And now it's our turn. So last week we had Meghan talking about her impressions of the Disney Destiny, and things were, a little silly, maybe not as, what's the word I'm looking for? Comprehensive as
not that this will be totally comprehensive.
No, but
there was a lot of kids club.
Yes, a lot of kids club talk. She did, really enjoy the kids club. There were other parts of the ship that she enjoyed too, and excursions. But either way, we have our opportunity now to fill people in on some other stuff, kind of fill, a lot of the gaps in the previous episode, which truthfully just has an entertainment value alone more than an informational value. So hopefully this can be a little bit of edutainment. Is that that's what they call things at Epcot, right?
I don't know.
Because you're learning things while
While
entertained.
entertaining. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So I think that we should really, I'm going to start at the beginning here. I usually go into a whole spiel about we do travel right at the end, but I just wanted to kick off right off the bat and thank them for the work that they did, especially Emily, in helping us out with this cruise, because this ended up being a phenomenal trip. And so instead of going through the whole song and dance, if you want to have a phenomenal time on a Disney vacation or a vacation anywhere else, we do travelright.com/Mazza, and they will help you out. So get that out of the way right off the bat so we can get right into what we were talking about.
Yeah, we really could not have done all of this without them. And I mean, Emily, a week before sailing, sent a care package to, just kick off that, get us ready for the cruise with little things we could use on the cruise.
I love those little touches. I love those little touches that Emily and her team put into this kind of stuff. So really sets them apart as far as I'm concerned. So and just really great people overall. And we
got to see them a few times on the cruise.
Exactly. We're on the same sailing, and we can talk a little bit about other people that we saw on this sailing too a little bit later. But yeah, just wanted to shout them out because Emily and her team just did such a phenomenal job for us. We're so helpful. We did have a lot of questions and a lot of double checking on our parts, just because
we might have been a little bit of a pain about certain things, but
we're not high maintenance about a lot, but I feel like our anxiety leads us to be a little bit high maintenance when it comes to planning trips.
Yeah. But we want it to be as perfect as possible. And they helped us out with that. So
I will say, while we're talking about anxiety, like right off the bat, I was telling you before we went on this trip how stressed out I was about leaving out of Fort Lauderdale as opposed to Port Canaveral. And that was the first cruise we did was on the Wish out of Port Canaveral. We stayed on property at Disney, took Disney transportation to the port, and everything just to me felt a lot easier from that perspective. We didn't have to worry about booking an outside hotel and trying to decide, well, is it worth it to pay the extra to do one with Disneyland, or excuse me, with Disney transportation versus staying somewhere offsite and then
Ubering to the port
or whatever. So, and I'd still really think that I like that convenience factor of it's a much longer trip to the port, obviously, but there's a lot less moving parts when you're just staying on Disney property and Disney's doing
I want to change the word convenience to comfort, because once we booked that hotel, or once Emily's team booked that hotel for us, everything was super convenient. So it wasn't our comfort zone.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
So
yeah,
yes, we did have to make that decision on the hotel. But it was more just, I think, Fort Lauderdale was not our comfort zone.
Right.
So we had to figure out what we were going to eat, what we were going to do. Whereas if we were staying at a Disney resort, we would have known those things already.
Yeah.
So I think just be careful with the word convenience versus comfort.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, there is a convenience factor too there, in that if we were staying on a Disney specific property, we can just literally just hop on a bus and go somewhere. And if we're hungry, we know we can go to Springs and hop on a bus, go to Springs, get dinner. Those kinds of things. Whereas that was a little bit more, and there were some circumstances where we didn't necessarily get to do the research and the planning that we normally would have done, I think. But especially the first day we were there, it kind of felt like we were just trying to figure out where we were, as opposed to. So you're right. A lot of it is comfort.
Yeah, because we could have hopped on a bus. We just didn't know what bus to hop on or where to go. Like, so.
Yeah, but we also would have we
Yeah.
would have had to pay for the bus and stuff like that. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think that you're very correct in a lot of it was just the comfort. Some of it is Disney does make everything easier,
Yeah.
So, but I will say that I did love. Well, we can talk about our hotel just a little bit. We stayed at the Hilton Marina.
Which is one of the couple options that you can book Disney transport from. And we went back and forth on that. And in the end, that's where we decided we wanted the convenience of the Disney transport versus trying to figure everything out. So we did pay a little bit more for a hotel than we could have if we stayed elsewhere. But that's where we're like, okay, we know that if we stay here, we can get Disney transport and it'll show up and it'll take us where we need to go.
And it'll take care of
Take care of luggage, everything like that. And the hotel was fine. It wasn't like a 5-star hotel, but the first, like the night we were there, pre-cruise, we were sitting, and our room was overlooking a little marina, right? I guess that's what I would call it, like a little marina.
It was a marina. Yep.
So it was beautiful view, sitting outside at night, or during the day.
Yep.
Had a pool that was a nice little pool, nothing fancy, but again, it did the trick for what we needed. We got to the hotel probably around 2:30, 3 o'clock. We were able to check in a little bit early, and we walked around for a few minutes. Meghan noticed a pool, and so that was what we did for the rest of the afternoon.
It's been, and it was. We had a travel day with a long-ish layover in Baltimore, so it'd been a long travel day. So just kind of like, let's do the pool. We'll chill out, because we originally were thinking about maybe doing
Finding
some
dinner
exploring.
exploring. Yeah,
but I think that was the right choice there, and it really, I think. One of the nice things was how walkable everything was. Like we could do a little walk around the marina and everything. So we were able to do something a little bit different. Meghan had never done something like that where she was,
she's been to the harbor in Boston, but even then, we don't do that a lot.
So, that was, as far as stays go in a non-Disney property, it was good. And we ended up, with they had the desk right there for the Disney transportation. So we were able to check in with them, get everything situated.
They took all our bags. I would say the biggest, and I don't know that it happens every time. I don't know. We can jump into the next morning when we got on the cruise.
Sure. Yep.
So, again, we got up. We found a bagel place that was half-mile away. So we walked over there, got breakfast, met another family that was going on the cruise that was doing the same thing as us. But I think the highlight of staying at that hotel was, we took the Disney transport. It was less than 10 minutes to the port, so not long at all. But when we got there, excuse me.
It was truthfully almost comical how little time we were on the bus going between the hotel and the port.
Yeah, it probably took us, it probably took us as long to get down into the lobby with our luggage than it did to get over to, but anyway, when we got to the port, loved the port. It was super easy. We just walked in, we waited, they checked us in super quick. But when we got to the port, we had our little papers that they gave us. And they're like, you guys are all, regardless of whatever your port arrival time is, you're all bumped up to boarding group 3, which was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that happens every single time. So I can't say do it because you'll get in a higher boarding group. But for us, it did that. And it was incredible.
Now, before we continue on with that and the experience of boarding group 3, I did just want to, something that I just thought of. I was thinking about the transport over and such, and I remembered the transport to the hotel from the airport
Oh.
was a little crazy. We flew into Fort Lauderdale, not Miami or one of the other local airports. We flew into Fort Lauderdale. We got an Uber. It had already been
We
arranged and
pre-booked our
everything.
Uber.
But that place where you pick up the Ubers is kind of like around the corner from where you'd exit the baggage claim area. And oh boy, that place was
There were
packed.
hundreds of people standing out there.
And apparently there was some kind of traffic issue. The driver made it seem like this was crazier than normal, but that was something that we ended up waiting a while before, once again, a relatively short trip from the airport to the hotel. We were waiting for our ride longer than we were actually in the ride. But just thinking about the boarding procedure for the bus, that was a little bit chaotic, more just because they kind of stage everybody in the ballroom there at the hotel, and you've got those tickets that have a
Different
character on
characters.
it, and so everybody's kind of like just waiting there for their character to get called, and so you've just got kids running around, and some parents
might need to tell their kids that they can't tackle each other, but
yeah,
not my kid, as long as my kid didn't get hurt.
there may have been a concussion from one of the kids, before getting on the cruise, but so just.
But that's not just it. There were definitely amazing experience, but sometimes parents just need to watch their kids a little bit more.
Yeah, and now I'll say, I didn't think that we experienced anything like that once we were on the cruise. Like there was never a time where I was just really like.
You weren't always in the kids club line with me.
No, that's true.
There were a few times in that check-in that I was just like, I hope Megan's going to stay away from these kids when she gets down there.
But, oh, yeah, there was that one.
That were tackling each other in line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that was. But then they clonked heads and then they stopped.
Yeah. Well,
the natural consequence. And then, sorry, we're getting off on a tangent here. But yeah, so there are a couple of spots that are a little bit chaotic. One of them has nothing to do with Disney whatsoever. It's just that airport. And from what I understand, that was more chaotic than normal. And then at the Hilton, that whole ballroom setup, I understand why it's set up that way, and it ended up being fairly smooth, but it's just a lot of people and a lot of kids all in the same area with a lot of energy because
we're about to get on a cruise.
So the port was great. It's I almost said Captain Nemo, Finding Nemo themed. It's really, in terms of that kind of stuff, a step above what you're looking
Port
at.
Canaveral was.
Yeah, for Port Canaveral,
and that's the only other port. I mean, aside from the port in Boston where we went on that ship, but I don't remember much of that either. So
I think that says a lot about it. It's unremarkable, and people have told me stories about standing out in a parking lot at Port Canaveral. So
we weren't in the parking lot, but we had to wait in a sidewalk until we
that's true.
In.
Yeah. So it really, as far as that goes, being able to get in and then have a comfortable place to wait. I thought, and the way that they managed the crowds and the lines, I thought was really good at that port. Then we get on the ship, obviously, boarding group 3, and they do the whole thing where they announce your name, everybody claps.
At that point, Captain Minnie was up on the balcony. I don't know if she's always there, if other characters change, but she was up there waving to us when we came in.
And let me tell you, I loved this grand hall. I was a little bit skeptical about the theming of this ship because we're not big Marvel people. Of the 3 of us, I've seen the most, and a lot of,
and we learned Meghan has
a pretty good knowledge too, apparently, thanks to
you, Patrick.
Her cousin Patrick. But it, I really enjoyed this theming because it still felt Disney. It did it. While Marvel was certainly a part of it, I mean, Black Panther is the statue in the lobby and everything. It still had that very welcoming, Disney
welcoming,
feel
but it
to it.
also had that grandeur, like
Yeah,
yeah. You felt you were in the grand
there
hall.
was a beauty to it that
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about, because a lot of stuff with Marvel is very much very metallic, very kind of cold.
Yeah, but no, this
Um,
this wasn't at all.
Yeah, and so then we basically had the ship.
We had sort of come up with the plan that we were gonna, because we got on early enough, and when we were on the Wish, we had seen pools. Like, we weren't sure what pool time would be like for us on this cruise, but we knew boarding group 3, we had a good shot of getting up there and like having the pool before there's like 60 kids in it.
Right.
And I know, like, I'm not comfortable with her in like that with that many people. She's a strong swimmer, but
that's one of those spots where you think about those rowdy kids and things like that, and especially you throw in the factor of water and things like that, and even though they are very well maintained with lifeguards and etc., it's still, I've seen those pools and it's just like
I get anxious around
panic
them.
inducing.
Yeah. But I knew Meghan really wanted to swim. So anyway, we planned to go in, kind of take a few pictures, and then head up to deck 11. And
just for a little bit of context for people who haven't seen pictures of this ship or whatever, it doesn't have like one big pool like you'll see on a lot of cruise ships. It's a series of smaller pools, and honestly, even some of them are not open at all times because they'll use them as they cover them using the stages. So they're using these areas for multi-use. So sometimes, yeah, you do have 60 kids in a pool because the other one is closed, and
yeah, and there's different depths too. So like,
right.
But anyway, that's all not really. So we went up, we got in. Well, she got into the pool. We all got in bathing suits. I think you and I sat on the edge of the pool, swam around for a little bit, and then we got food up on deck 11, right? We didn't do the buffet that first day.
Right. Well, we didn't do
the lunch buffet at all.
No, we pretty much stuck to that deck 11, which has the Donald's Cantina, the Daisy's pizza pies.
Did I have tacos No, sorry, I had bowls every day. I had a Mexican bowl every single day of that cruise.
The Mickey's Smokehouse. Excuse me.
I had lots of mac and cheese too.
We didn't hit the burger place at all. I got some fries there one time. Yeah, the burgers did look good. And then there's obviously the soft serve area where they do also serve fruit, which was nice. We would grab some fruit every now and then. But that's the area where we ate lunch most days, including that first day.
Yeah. It was right. We ate lunch up there, did the pool some more, and then when our room was open, we went down to, go kind of unpack, change up a little, and get ready for the sail away party, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, and we did the kids club open house.
Oh, that's right.
That's when we were coming back from the kids club open house. That's when we ran into Harper's family.
Yes. So we actually ran into an old classmate of Meghan's from when she was at her old school, and that girl's mom also works at the school. And so
we've run into them. We've never been on a vacation with them, but we ran into them at the airport last year coming back from February break.
We've run into them on vacation, but not on the same vacation.
So we just we got out of the kids club open house and we were heading up to the sail away party. And we just happened to, like, no one else was in this hallway at the same time. And we just walked down and just like, I think I said out loud, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, we turned the corner and I saw
the little girl.
Well, I saw her mom.
Oh, okay.
And she was looking at me and I was looking at her and I was like, "Is that?" And so then I saw the little girl, and then I said, "Hey," and my record for scaring young children
Still
remains
continues.
impeccable because I did scare the crap out of her. But at that moment, you saw who it was,
Just like, oh my God. And so we then a few times ran into them several other times on the cruise, and Megan and their daughter were in the kids club together at a few times.
Yeah.
But so just like small world.
Yeah.
And
Yep. And so then we ended up at the sail away party where we ended up running into, you were getting soft serve.
I think we were getting soft
getting
serve.
soft
You
serve,
found
and
Emily.
Yeah, I was going to get a drink and like something for us to drink while sailing away. And I spotted Emily and Scott and their kids. And so we
And they
ended
were
up,
right up front, and there was still space, so you like just jumped
Yeah, and
over with them.
I made mention that, they were obviously they cruise a lot. So they were talking with some of the crew members who had been on various ships that they had sailed on before. And now those people were on the Destiny, with it being the new ship. Well, the new ship in that class. There is the other. But so it was cool to see some of the crew members in a little bit different of an element,
where they're more chatting with someone they're friendly with.
Exactly.
Versus,
Yeah. So, and the sail away party was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we definitely, and thanks to running into them, had a much better viewing than when we were on the Wish, and we got up there a little later. And yeah.
Well, that's the difference between a first time sailing and a second time sailing too, is we knew when we should be up there, to make sure that we were in a spot where we could see. And as Megan mentioned in the last podcast, Spider-Man makes an appearance, and there are some other characters
some fun
that
things
do.
in there that go
Obviously,
along with the theming of the ship.
Yeah, the whole theming of the ship is heroes and villains. It's not necessarily Marvel, but Spider-Man
plays a big part.
Yeah, Spider-Man is on the back of the ship, and obviously Marvel, being all about heroes and villains, is a big part of the theming, So it's, like I said, this was something that I think this was another area where they were able to kind of seamlessly work the Marvel stuff into.
Well, they still had Mickey
Disney
on deck,
experience.
and
Yeah. So, so for those who, because I was worried about, are they going to enjoy this as much if they're hitting us over the head with Marvel? And I thought that is something that could happen with the amount of money that they've poured into Marvel, and the immense popularity that entity and that IP has. So I was glad to see that there was a nice balance.
That was Megan's favorite restaurant too, though. Like, as we're talking Marvel.
So while we're we do the sail away party, and then next is dinner.
We do early dining.
Yes,
at least on this cruise, we did early dining.
So there were 2 dining slots. It was 5:45 or 8 o'clock. So we had the 5:45 one, and our first one was 1923, which of course is named after the year that the company was founded. And there are 2 sides. There's a Walt Disney side and a Roy Disney side. We're on the Roy Disney side. I don't know if there's any real difference between the two, other than that's how they organize people out.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know in the Wish we were on the Walt side, but I don't really remember. And they were 2 different.
So, and here's my criticism with this. And it basically comes down to, it seems like we were told that there were over like 3,800 people on this ship, and something like almost 1,800 of them were kids.
Yeah.
This was one of the places where I felt things were crowded.
At 1923?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'll say the dining in general.
Yeah.
But 1923 especially, I would say that we were stuck in a corner, but there was another family that was at an adjoining table where they were actually in the corner, and they had to like work around us to get to their seats. So it really felt like they just crammed as many seats as they possibly could into this place. And it wasn't the most, I feel like that one especially is a really kind of like intimate kind of dining experience, or it's meant
Yeah.
to be. And it really didn't have that feeling. And we were also very much separated from a lot of the artwork and things that really make 1923 special. And one of the things I really remember from the 1923 that's on the Wish.
Yeah, we were much more in the middle of the restaurant
Yeah.
on the other one.
And, you got to put people somewhere. And I understand.
And maybe if we had done the later dining, maybe it wouldn't, because I know especially a lot of families with kids do like that early dining.
So it felt very crowded because we had that family that our tables were more touching, basically.
Yeah,
And
like,
then
we
on
were
the other
separate
side,
tables, but we were like almost like dining partners.
Yeah.
Like,
and then on the other side, there was another family that was dining in a table, and there really wasn't enough room to walk between the tables. You kind of had to shuffle sideways between the tables. So I would say from that perspective, I was a little bit disappointed. The food at 1923, I thought was
yeah, I was happy
good.
with the food. I also think that first night our service was absolutely lacking.
Yes.
It definitely improved as time went on, but
I will say Javed,
yeah,
who was our head waiter, our head server, really made sure that we were taken care of for the rest of that. I think that he recognized the deficiency in that first night.
Yeah.
And we got to remember, this ship has been sailing for like
Right.
3.5 months. They're still
Absolutely.
working out some kinks and stuff like that. So to a certain degree, I was willing to give some grace. But especially
had
when
also-
somebody else recognized it and we recognized that they recognized it, that made me feel a lot better, both about how I was feeling about the experience and knowing that we were being looked after,
Right. And I think that was something that I initially struggled with too, because by the like even the second night it was a little rough. Like that night at Marvel, it was just like, are we ever getting food? But then after that, like we were one of the first tables. He definitely like stepped it up. Our server, like our server was much better as like after the first day. But I totally lost where I was going with this. Oh, on the Wish, we had like two of the most incredible
they're so
servers that
good.
you could have had. So
We took pictures with them because
so
they were that good.
The first night, I was kind of like, okay, is it just that they're not those people from the Wish? And then the second night happened, and it was like, and that's when Javed really was like super present. And then after that, things were much smoother, much better.
I think our server, Maynard, actually did himself a little bit of a disservice that the end of that first night, because that was the time he showed me the menu for the next night's dinner, because I have a shellfish allergy. So I 100% appreciate the effort that he showed me the menu and asked me if I wanted to order my food now
So
to facilitate,
like the allergy kitchen.
But I think that ended up working against him because, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but that second night, we all got our food at different times.
Yeah.
So I think, and that smoothed out too after that, because I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
He offered it to me again, and I said, no, thank you. So I appreciate the effort that was put in there, but I think it actually hurt his ability to get us everything the way that we would expect it to.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So then things did get better from that perspective after that too. So, like I said, I'm not going to fault him for being considerate of my needs, but I think that that's just one of those things that just didn't work out the way that was planned.
No, and he definitely, I did enjoy him. He was very nice, very friendly. He was sharing a lot about like his,
big Star Wars fan too. So
big Star Wars fan. So yeah, we did end up having some fun with him, and it was enjoyable. But sorry, way off. I think we kind of just covered some other dining type
Yeah,
stuff that we
yeah,
can.
but that's, so that was pretty much the first day. Um,
I think she did a little
she
kids
did
club
some
after
kids club.
dinner because she really wanted to. We got a drink, picked her up, and
Now, was that my days are kind of already blending together a little bit. Was that the first time we went to
oh, that's when we went to
Haunted
Haunted
Mansion?
Mansion.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay. So she went to the kids club and we checked out the Haunted Mansion um ourselves.
because we had walked
We had
into
walked
it
through it to
like
see it with
earlier, and
Megan.
she's like, "This is scary." There were some freaky things for sure.
A little dramatic, but she's been on the ride, so all of it is based off of stuff on the
Yeah.
ride. So,
But I also wouldn't fault her for not wanting to sit in there.
oh yeah, no,
Um,
absolutely.
But yes, so yes, that's when we went to Haunted Mansion.
Yes. And so we got got a couple of drinks. I got oh,
The one that comes with the death
I can't
certificate.
yes. So yeah, the presentation of this drink. The drink itself was actually pretty sweet. So if you're not a big, and I think that's meant this way because of the presentation and everything that goes into it. So if you're not big into sweet alcoholic beverages, it's probably one and done for you. The experience is fun enough that
Yeah.
you can do it once. But it comes in a little box. You open it up, and there's the
Smoke comes
smoke comes out, and you're instructed to take the drink out. And when you do, you're informed that you are now dead. And you get your death certificate. And on the back of the death certificate, there are the hitchhiking ghosts that appear under black
Mhm.
light. So it's a fun little thing.
Yeah, I'm glad that we did it.
I wish I could remember the name of the drink, but
just
it's easy enough to look up. And you got
I forget what it was too, but they compared it to like a mango margarita,
yeah,
right?
and I'd say that was a pretty spot on description. Also pretty sweet.
Yes, we had one of those, and then I forget if it was there that we got a beer to go, or if we got like a beer to go somewhere else. But
The beer there, one of the beers there it's called Hoppy Haunts.
yeah, we liked that one.
It's basically their hazy IPA, very fruit forward IPA, very good. If Elaine ever goes on a Disney cruise,
That would
my father's wife, that would be one for her. We just recently introduced her to the idea that not all hops are bitter, so I think we opened up a new world for her. But so yeah, that was the first night. Yeah.
yeah. Then we picked her up. She went to bed. We sat out on the veranda and had a beer, and then we went to bed. And
And then the next day was a day at sea.
it was sea day.
Yes,
Yep. And that was yeah.
Go ahead.
Are you on the sea day or were you?
I was just going to explain the itinerary was the Western Caribbean. So we went from Fort Lauderdale, had a sea day, went to Cozumel, and then had another sea day and went to Castaway Key, and then looped back to Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, no, that second day, the first sea day there was when she did Bippity Boppity
Yes.
and we did Royal Gathering.
Yeah. So Megan talked a little bit about Bibbidi Boppity. This was her first experience doing it. I thought that was a fun experience, even for someone. Megan's not a girly girl, but she's also not a girly girl. You know what I mean?
She's not the
she
one that wants to put on a bunch of makeup and
Right.
get her hair done and
Yeah. She does like her dresses from time to time
she's
and
purple.
stuff like that.
She's a purple girl. She likes her dresses. She
So she has a happy medium
likes her
there.
nail polish.
Yeah. But getting like made up is not something that she does, or so I was curious to see how she was going to enjoy that experience. And I think that the fairy godmother that she had, whose name is escaping me, was terrific and really kind of put her at a lot of ease, because I think she had some
She had a
anxiety
little
not knowing what
anxiety.
it was
Yeah.
all about, especially because on the last cruise, we were seated with another family, and that
But-
little girl,
Did not like it.
she didn't like it because she,
Whatever, she didn't like the
she didn't,
experience.
yeah, she didn't. And so I wondered how much that was going to impact her impression because, Megan won't forget where she put her shoes, but she'll remember, what somebody told her 2 years
Yeah.
ago.
Well, and I think, we also did it well too. It's like she wore a dress, but we didn't buy a princess dress. She just wore like a pink cotton dress.
Yeah.
So she still looked pretty, but she wasn't like overly dressed up,
Yeah.
which I don't think she would have been comfortable in something like that.
Right.
But no, I thought that was an incredible experience. And I know she's kind of like been, like, it was good, it was fun, but like she had a smile on the whole time, and she was so engaged with her fairy godmother.
Yeah.
And really, we just kind of sat there. There were it was very few times that like they brought us into a conversation.
Right.
So we were just kind of watching.
And taking pictures and such.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that some of the interaction honestly comes from they're feeding off of what the kid is going to give them too. So she opened up to it a little bit, and that helped with the experience. Whereas you saw some of the other kids who were a little bit quieter.
Just kind of sitting there,
Yeah.
and they
The fairy godmothers didn't necessarily,
engage the same way.
because you don't want to push it either, and
Yeah.
make somebody uncomfortable who just isn't comfortable talking. So, so that was an experience that we got that was booked through We Do Travel Right. They helped us secure that.
I was gonna say, and again, shout out because that was an early reservation, but we went from there directly to the royal gathering. So she was all dressed up when she met the princesses. It also happened to be formal night on the cruise.
Right.
So she was all fancy for formal night.
Yeah.
So it was just like everything fit together that day really nicely.
So let's see. So basically, our morning was the thing where we had the most kind of things that we were committed to doing.
Yeah. And I think after that day, we also met several of like the Mickey and Friends characters.
Right. Yep. Yeah. They had a lot of great, like, it seemed like there were a lot of opportunities. They really kind of spread them out and really kept them moving so that you always had an opportunity, and it never felt like you were waiting an obscene amount of time for anybody.
Yeah. And I mean,
And certainly the app helps.
yeah, we played it out, and it definitely, we went up there a little bit early so that we get there, but then we were at the front of the line for it. So we might have waited for 10, 15 minutes, but we were one of the first people. So then it was pretty simple.
And we're Disney people. A 10 to 15-minute wait is nothing.
Yeah. Oh, that was also the day we did the magnets.
Oh, that's right. So they did at the Sanctum, it's an open air lounge. If you've been on the Wish, it's in the same spot where the Tiana's themed lounges. And they had various activities there in addition to the things like the trivia and live music. They had some family friendly things like crafts, like we made door magnets for a stateroom door, and they were themed to Hercules, which fits in with the heroes and villains. One of the main stage shows is Hercules. So yeah, that was a fun little activity. Where another one of those places where we ran into Emily and Scott and crew.
Yeah. Yep. So good.
So yeah, the nice thing that I found with it, and people have asked me about this, is there's always something to do. And regardless of what your interest in, like Megan loves crafts. So something like that is right up her alley. Now, granted, that craft was maybe a little bit complicated in some respects, and in that we didn't necessarily have a guide as to what it was supposed to look
she and
like.
I also chose to do the Pegasus one, and there was one guide of the Megara one that was up there. And I think because it was a sea day too, everyone on the ship was there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
The next day, if they had done something like that, I don't know if they did because we were off ship, but I
Yeah.
know they did crafts most days.
Yeah. There was some kind of something there basically every day. So that, it's a nice little thing on top of everything else, something to not so much cool down, but like if you need something that's a little less
active.
active. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that I just opened up my pictures for that day to see, and that craft came out.
Yeah.
We had dinner at Marvel that night.
Yes. And so this was, I've already talked a little bit about the actual dining experience. The show, so the show on the Wish was much more of a show. Like there was a whole thing with, I think it was,
I don't know if I would even call it a show, but a story
well, there was a show. It was just on the
on the screen.
projectors, on the
Okay.
screens there are screens that are all over the walls of this place, and there are various Marvel characters that are defending the ship from robots. I don't remember if it was Ultron or if they're just like some kind of generic robot thing. I don't remember, but um, that now, also granted, 6-year-old Megan thought it was really happening, so she was freaked out by it. Um, it was also a little bit interactive in that there are certain things that we had to push on the
To
thing that
happen
was
at the
on the
right
table,
time, and
and so it was a little bit more of an engaging show,
yeah,
kind of display kind of thing. And at the end of it, Spider-Man
Spider-Man came
comes out,
down.
and then Spider-Man took pictures with everybody. This one was like basically they had trivia questions for most of it that kept going on the screen, or identify the character as it kind of slowly.
Which Megan loved.
Yeah, the Megan loved that. But the show was pretty much just like a few different clips of Rocket Raccoon and Groot, and it kind of fell flat for me. I just was just like, why? Either do something or don't. Like this felt kind of like halfway, and it was just like, why is this here? Just either do a show or
Or just have
have
the
a
running
trivia
trivia,
game.
yeah.
It didn't land for me. And I really like Guardians of the Galaxy, but it was this whole thing about like Groot wanting Rocket to feel like a hero, and I don't know, it just didn't work for me. So the Marvel, I love that dining room. Like I think that it's really well
Yes.
themed. But that dining experience, when you're, I guess again, like you said with the servers from that first night, I guess I had an expectation going into the Marvel dining room of more spectacle, and it wasn't there. Especially Marvel, you think, these big movies, that
Yeah.
big movies, and even like the comic books and stuff like that. It's all this, and then it just wasn't much of anything. So, but yeah, I think that in a way, having the trivia game and the identify the hero game and stuff like that did help keep kids more engaged and in their
Yeah.
seats. And granted, they were looking at a screen on the wall, but maybe
'Cause
mom or
but they had
dad
to push
wasn't
the
right,
buttons,
and maybe mom and dad aren't putting the tablet in front of the kids, which you still see like on a cruise ship, which is kind of wild to me. But
and you don't know the
right,
reasons, like
exactly. And Megan has never been one of those kids, so it's just a little foreign to to us. So, but yeah, that was pretty much the sea day. So it was a fairly relaxing kind of do what we want to do kind of day, which
Yeah.
was nice.
it was very nice.
And then the next day was
Cozumel.
Cozumel. Yeah, we docked in Cozumel, and that I would say that that getting off the ship was really
Yeah, we booked an
relatively easy.
excursion through Disney, so, we just had to meet up on the ship, and they took us off. They introduced us to our guide, and that was it.
Yep.
Like, then Chalo took over, and
Yes, Chalo was terrific.
Yeah.
So the excursion we did, we went and saw the Mayan ruins on Cozumel. And then we went to the Mayan chocolate factory or chocolate company, where we got a demonstration on chocolate making.
Yeah.
And then we got some time at the beach. And I really enjoyed this experience. I was a little skeptical because some things I read was just like, oh, these are really ruins. It's like just rocks, man. And it was not that.
I didn't
And
think so. I mean, I don't know if they were expecting to see pyramids, but
right, exactly. Yeah. And that was something that Charlo explained to us is, the pyramids and such were for major cities. Now the site we were on was a sacred site. Um and he explained how like they actually built this road because people would have to travel to Cozumel once in their life, and they were doing it by like canoe and stuff
yeah,
like that, and then ending up on an island that they're not
that they
familiar
don't know
with.
where to go.
So they built like, I mean,
And we
thousands
could
of
see
years ago.
remnants of the road
Yeah,
further.
and the arch that they built to signify that you had reached your destination, and it was, I'm not going to tell the whole story of the, but it was it was a place that was um dedicated to the Mayan fertility god and goddess, and goddess of basically life and health. And really, Chalo was excellent in making sure that he was explaining this in a way that was going to be engaging not only for the adults but for the kids. And we mentioned in the previous podcast that he kept the kids engaged by having them count
Having an iguana hunt.
iguanas. Yes,
And we
which
did set the record for that, he said. He said, what, the
yes,
prior was like 17 or
17,
something?
and we saw 25 or 24. The number was a little bit in question, but it was well over the
And let me
previous
tell you, these
record.
kids were very engaged. Not only in, like, I mean, there were probably 10
Yeah.
kids on there, like several around Megan's age, and they
Mhm.
really were like,
Yeah, it was a very cool experience.
I also like, I know it sounds, but I loved to see Megan's confidence. Like she just took off
Oh,
from
yeah.
us and was like, I want to go up
I'm going
front.
up there. Yeah.
Like,
Go ahead.
just
Just don't trip.
just stay with
Just don't trip on the road, on the ancient road. But it was, and like Megan's confidence was a great thing to see because she, can at times be a little bit timid. But I think once she's actually like engaged in something like that,
yeah.
and Chala was also such a friendly guy, like really made you feel comfortable with him. I think that helped a lot too. But in terms of like being on the site, just it was so cool to be in a place that was, that
Excuse me.
had that kind of history that
Yeah.
was thousands of years old. Um, just really fascinating. The chocolate was also cool. We kind of got to get a perspective on,
Like what they used to do.
yeah, and really, how cocoa was part of, or cacao was part of the Mayan culture and was
Yes.
really um more than like a delicacy the way that Europeans saw it in chocolate. It was a form of currency for them. So
Yeah,
uh,
he was explaining to, especially to kids, but I mean to all of us, but that was something that the kids could really like
right.
relate to.
Yeah. So so
And we
just very
also
cool.
had a chocolate margarita at the factory.
Another thing that I was skeptical about, willing to try, and it
Was
turned
really
out to be
good.
very good. Yeah. Yes.
And they did have like this chocolate drink that Megan had
It's
as
like a
well.
chocolate milkshake kind of thing. Kind of a halfway between a frosty and a
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
a
say almost like a
milkshake.
slushy texture,
Yeah.
like, but she liked it, and that was
So, and then we got to go to the beach, and the beach was very nice. It was
yeah.
obviously much more of a touristy kind of thing.
Yeah, like it was a beach
Obviously.
club, I
Yeah.
think. So it was definitely, but we got some nice photo ops. We had about an hour and a half there. So we did some swimming. We had traditional Mexican margaritas in
Yes.
Mexico.
And shout out to Christopher, the bartender, who made me a special margarita when I told him that my name was also Chris. Now, this very well could have been just a standard margarita that he told me was special because we shared the same name.
It's okay.
But either way,
You can feel special.
I felt very special.
It was in a fancy glass.
Yes. So,
That looks.
but yeah, that took most of the day. And then I will say, so the Cozumel port, and you pointed this out as well. It had very much of like a mall feel, you
Yeah.
know. And it was a little bit getting from the ship to like where we're
To where
going
we
to
took our
transportation,
transportation.
was a little bit winding. We had to go up and then around and then down, and so but I think that that's also intentional because they want you going past the shops,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
um I would say there wasn't a lot of character to the port area itself.
We also literally just walked through it, so maybe if we had spent more time, like
Fair enough.
I don't wanna rule it out. But for us, I'm really glad we did the excursion
We did.
because I think
We
that
we
was,
did walk past the Senor Frogs.
uh
We actually ended up having to walk back. The bus
because there
taking
was
us,
a 5K happening, right?
not a 5K. No.
Some kind of a run, though.
So when we were coming back from the beach, we were on the bus, and Chalo explained that it was Mardi Gras. And so, or that Mardi Gras was it actually
It wa
Tuesday? It was that Mardi Gras period. So, and he said that there's a tradition where like they close off the street and people run and they have like color packets, like, basically like colored um cornstarch or
Yeah.
whatever. And basically they run through the streets and they throw it. And I was just like, I hope I get to see that. Like, even if
That
we're
would've been
stuck in
cool.
traffic, like that would be cool to see. But instead, what happened was every bus wasn't able to go anywhere. So they actually had us get out, and Chalo led us, a block or two back
to
to
the
the
port.
port. So we actually walked um, through the city. Now, I mean, the city that is on Cozumel, there's one city, and it's all in this really kind of condensed area. That was really cool too. Like half of
It's
the
all
island
yeah.
is preserved because that's where their
underground,
their
like,
water is. Yeah, so that was very cool, and that was something that Meghan was able to.
she knew because it was in a book she had read ahead
Right.
of time.
Yeah, so I think that's something that helped with her engagement with this, as we had just recently read that book. So
Completely randomly, too.
yeah. Well, thanks for coming along with us on the first leg of this trip. Of course, like I said, we're going to have a second part of this conversation in our next episode, and we can't wait to wrap up this adventure with you.
Now I can't do any more damage around this popsicle stand.
So long, partner.
See you real soon.
As you've heard already, lots of great experiences, I think we gave a fair amount of good insight into what this ship offers and some of the good things about it, some of the things that we've noticed that maybe set it apart from other ships. So if you have any other questions in the meantime, you can feel free to reach out to us, and we'll do our best to either bring it up in a future podcast, or we may just, have a conversation with you. The best way to start those conversations is honestly online. We have the Musin Place, which is the Maz's Musings community on Facebook. And it's a great place where we can have these conversations and connect with other people. There may be other people besides us who have been on the Destiny who have another take on all of it. So you can find that by going straight through our Facebook page. And you can also find all kinds of information on our website, mazasmusings.wordpress.com. Now, in addition to Facebook and the website, we're also on all kinds of other social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Maz's Musings Pod. We're on TikTok at Maz's Musings Podcast. We have a YouTube page that we'd love it if you subscribe to, and we have a Blue Sky. So all those places are places where you can connect with us, or you can always just send an email at mazasmusings@gmail.com. Now, of course, I mentioned the website. The website also has all of our past episodes, and it's got more information about me in this podcast. And it also is the best way to find to sign up for our newsletter. That'll come once a week in your inbox and give you all kinds of great information about the podcast and other things that we find interesting. You'll also find there a way to support us by buying us a blue milk. And buying us blue milk helps with some of those small monetary costs that go into putting this podcast together. Now, beyond money, and truthfully, an even more valuable way to support us is by telling people about this podcast. Word of mouth is the best way, but you can also leave a rating or review on your favorite podcatcher, and that will bump us up in those algorithms that make us more discoverable for more people. And whether you are buying us blue milk or listening for the first time, I appreciate all the support, and I hope you have a great weekend and a great week. For the Masters Musics podcast is brought to you by Hi Dad Soup. Check them out at Mickey and Minutes on Instagram.